Rochi, there's new research showing that the virus can cling to air pollution particles. So does that mean if you breathe them in that you can actually contract the disease?
Not necessarily. So the research was done in northern Italy initially. They took samples of air pollution, particles that float around in the air. They put them in an electron microscope to see whether they could find any of the genetic material of the COVID-19, and they did. The tricky part of this research is, although you find parts of the virus on the particles, they haven't yet proven that it's still biologically viable, so that's not necessarily the way it's being spread. But obviously, airborne virus on air pollution is a huge problem, so we're just trying to find the answer. But right now, it's okay, but another good reason for us to potentially think about the environment at the same time.
Rochi, as we move towards schools going back, what's your advice to older teachers who are feeling a bit nervous?
I think if you fall into one of the categories that still is in that vulnerable part of our community, no matter what you do, you need to treat yourself slightly differently to everyone else. So will you and I get it? Will that be a major problem? Sure, it won't be great. For a lot of us, we'll be okay. But for the vulnerable members, including vulnerable teachers, they still need to be treated in a different way. They need to protect themselves. They need to potentially have that conversation about how they feel about going back to work and being exposed. But right now, the evidence that we have from one of the largest studies in the world when it comes to safeties of schools is showing that kids just aren't passing it on to teachers. In fact, it's potentially parents picking up kids or teachers giving it to teachers where the real problem is.
Donald Trump now claims that his comment about injecting disinfectant was just sarcasm. What would actually happen to someone if they did that?
Well, this is the big thing, and it might be an unpopular answer here, but I feel like Donald Trump is actually onto something, because what he said was UV light disinfectant kills the virus. It also kills the human, and that's how it kills the virus. So he might, in fact, be a genius.
So you want him to trial it first? Is that the theory?
From the beginning of this, we've always had the conversation about how important communication is, and that just proved how dangerous communication can be.
Hey, Rochi, I've been hearing that one of the first signs that you have coronavirus might be these lesions on your toes. I've got a manky right foot. Do I have coronavirus?
No, Tommy, and I'm really glad you said manky toes then, or lesions. They're kind of things that you don't want to see on other parts of your body, but you get those on your toes. This is a new thing they're coming out called COVID toes. Again, everyone's trying to look for what is the telltale sign that you might have the virus. Again, there's not enough evidence to prove it, and your athlete's foot is just athlete's foot. You need an antifungal, Tommy.
OK, Rochi, thanks for making the time for us.